Lately, we've been talking about multiplying with fractions, specifically multiplying mixed numbers. Today, we're going to look at some more practice questions for multiplying with mixed numbers. I'll be using problems from day 116, the Great Amazing Race homework, and from day 117, multiplying mixed numbers homework page. So we're going to start, just our title is multiplying mixed numbers. We're multiplying mixed numbers practice. And we've reviewed what mixed numbers are, and we've reviewed how to multiply them. Today we're going to kind of look at the equations behind the squares that we created yesterday in our notes. And we're going to start with the Great Amazing Race homework page with number 1. You should have this page already with you. Number 1 says Matthew is building a tree house. The length of the tree house is 4 2/3 meters. The width of the tree house is 3 3/4 meters. What is the area of the tree house? So again, this is finding the area. So we know area equals a length times width. And for this particular equation, we have a length of 4 2/3 meters times a width of 3 3/4 meters. And we're trying to find the area. So the equation 4 2/3 times 3 3/4. If I think about this equation in terms of considering exactly what I'm multiplying, I have to make sure I distribute all my numbers evenly. So this is saying 4 times 3 is one equation, and 4 times 3/4 is one equation. This is also saying 2/3 times 3, and it's saying 2/3 times 3/4. Those are the 4 equations that I'm looking for the answers to. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3/4, well, if I do 4 times my numerator, which is 3, that's 12, and there's a little imaginary 1 under this 4, so that becomes 12/4, because that 1 times the 4 is 4. The 1 really isn't imaginary, it just is 4 divided by 1 would still be 4, so that's why that works. Then you have 4 or 2/3 times 3. And that equals 2 times the 3 there is 6. And 3 times the 1 up under here is 3. 6/3. And this last equation, 2 times 3 is 6. And 3 times 4 is 12. So 6/12. 12/4, if I think how many times will 4 go into 12, it goes in 3 times. So that really equals 3 wholes. This is still just 12 wholes when I bring it over. 6/3, how many times will 3 go into 6, or 6 divided by 3? That equals 2 wholes. And then I have 6, the fraction 6/12. If I add all of those together, I've got 3 whole numbers and then just a fraction. 12 plus 3 is 15, plus 2 more is 17, and 6/12. This can be reduced if I divide by 6. Equals 17 and 1/2. Okay, is the area, and that would be meters squared as the area. Now, This is the same thing that I did with the boxes. It's just not showing you in the same box format. It's just showing you with the equations. Okay? It's the same kind of equations that I set up in my boxes. It's just showing you in a different way. Alright? We're going to take a look at number 2. And number 2 we're going to do with the boxes again. And then you're going to try 3 and 4 with a method of whichever method you think works best for you and check over your work. So number 2 says the Wolf Bakery bakes puppy biscuits that use 3.5 cups of flour. How much flour would Mary Lou use to make 3.5 batches of cookies? So I have 3.5 cups of flour for one batch, but I need to make 3.5 batches. So that means I have 3 1/2 times 3 1/2. Whoops, I wrote that wrong. Times 3 1/2. If I set up my box here, I have 3 holes here and 1/2 here. 3 holes here and 1/2 here. My first number on top, my second number to the side. Putting this together is 3 times 3, which equals 9. This is 3 times 1/2, which equals 3 halves. Or that's the same thing as 1 1/2. Oops, I'm sorry, you guys couldn't see that part. Then down here is 3 times 1/2. Seem to keep picking up pencils that the lead doesn't want to stay in, guys. Let's see if I can get this lead to work. There we go. I got the lead to work on this one. So down here would be 3 times 1/2 again, which is 3 halves. 2 goes in the 3 one whole time, and then I have 1/2 left over, so 1 1/2 again. And then 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4. So I end up with several different partial products. I end up with the partial product 9, 1 1/2, 1 1/2, and 1/4. Now I have to add those together. I'm going to do that on the back. Nine holes plus 1 1/2 plus 1 1/2 plus 1/4. My first thought is they don't have the same denominator, okay? But I see that these two do, so those could be combined. So I'm going to look over here. This is going to stay as 9. I bring this over here as 1/4. But I can combine these two. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 1/2 plus 1/2 makes a whole. So that ends up making 3 wholes. Now you can see that I have 2 whole numbers and a fraction. That means I actually don't even have to find common denominators when I'm adding these. Had I just kept these two like they were, I would have had to turn them into a common denominator and then add it. But because I decided to go ahead and combine them beforehand, it made a new whole number, which prevented me from having to find a common denominator. Okay, so 9 plus 3 is 12, and 12 plus 1/4 is 12 and 1/4 cups of flour. Okay, so again, I've showed you how to do it with equations, and I showed you how to do it with the boxes. Number 3, I want you to pause and choose a method of your own to do number 3 and practice. Number 3 says a park play set is 4 3/5 meters long. It has a width that is 2 1/3 times its length. What is the width of the park play set? Okay, so this is a little bit more tricky. Okay, we know that it has, it's 4 3/5 meters long. And it says it has a width that is 2 1/3 times its length. So we don't know what the actual width is. We know the width in conjunction with the length. So that means if I take 2 1/3 and I multiply it by my length, it will tell me what my width is, which is what the question is asking me. Okay, so here I'm going to set it up with the equation method first. So I have 2 times 4 is one equation. I have 2 times 3/5 is another equation. I have 1/3 times 4. And I have 1/3 times 3/5. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 here is 6. There's an imaginary 1 or a little 1 there. So 1 times 5 is 5. That equals 6/5, or 1 1/5. 1 times 4 is 4. There's a little 1 here. So 3 times 1 is 3, or 1 1/3. And then 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now, in order to add all those together, I have to find a common denominator. I have 8 plus 1 1/5 plus 1 1/3 plus 3/15. I know that 3, 5, and 15 share a denominator of 15. Because 3 times 5 is 15 and 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 1 is 15. So they all have multiples of 15. So I times by 1 because I times by 1 here and I get 3. For here my whole number stays the same. And 3 times 5 gives me 15. So I'm going to do my numerator times 5, which is 5. Over here again, my whole number stays the same, but I did 5 times 3 to give me 15. And so that means I have to do my numerator times 3. So it becomes 3 over here. And my 8, my whole number stays the same. So I have 3/15 plus 5/15, that's 8/15, plus 3 more 15ths, that makes 11/15. And 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. So the width is 10 11/15 meters. So I was trying to figure out my width based on my length. Now that same problem with my boxes. 2 1/3 times 4 3/5. I'll look at it on the back. Two 1/3 times 4 3/5. 2 times 4 equals 8 wholes. 4 times 1/3 equals 4/3, or 1 whole and 1/3. 2 times 3/5 equals 6/5, which equals 1 whole and 1/5. And 1/3 times 3/5 equals 3/15. Again, I have to add all of my partial products. So I have 8 plus 1 whole and 1/3 plus 1 whole and 1/5 plus 3/15. Again, the same partial products from the equation way, just this time I worked it out so that I had boxes to separate my numbers into. So this stays as 8 wholes. This here has a new denominator of 15 because that's going to be my common denominator for all of these. 3 times 5 gave me 15, so 1 times 5 gives me 5. Here my whole number stays the same. 5 times 3 gives me 15, so 1 times 3 gives me 3. Here my entire fraction stays the same. So I have 5 plus 3 is 8/15, plus 3 more is 11/15, and 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. 10 and 11/15 is my width in meters. Okay. For the sake of time, we're going to move on to day 117. And number 4, you can solve. Number 4, you can solve right here on your own right now. Just pause the video and solve number 4. You'll check over it with a partner tomorrow in class. Okay. Looking at the day 117 homework page. We're going to start with number 1 from day 117. Okay. It says to stay healthy, Robin drinks 6.5 glasses of water a day. How much does Robin drink in 3.5 days? So I have 6.5 glasses of water each day, and I'm looking at how much she drinks over the course of 3.5 days. So I have 6.5 times 3.5. Okay. I'm going to multiply 6 times 3, which equals 18. I'm going to multiply 6 times 1/2, which gives me 6/2, or 3 wholes. 6 divided by 2 is 3. I'm going to multiply 1/2 times 3, which gives me 3/2, or 1 1/2, 1 whole and 1/2. And I'm going to multiply 1/2 times 1/2, which gives me 1/4. Now I need to add all of my partial products together. I know 18 plus 3 gives me 21. To 21 I can add 1 whole and 1/2. That gives me 22 1/2. And to that I can add 1/4. Right now they don't have the same denominator, so I have to give them the same denominator. Okay? My 22 whole stays the same. 2 and 4 share the denominator of 4. So 2 times 2 gave me that 4. 1 times 2 gives me 2. This stays the same. 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4. So my answer is 22 3/4 cups of water. Okay, we're going to stop right there. What I would like for you to do in your notes is choose one of the problems. You can choose 2, 3, 4, or 5. You're going to choose one of those problems and solve it in your notes page using equations or using the box method. You'll compare one of those problems that you're going to choose right now with a partner tomorrow, and you will also compare your number 4 from day 116. See you guys tomorrow.